Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. We have we got some big news, some big things to talk about. Um, Hopefully, you've all heard by now. We've got a release date for Shadowlands, October 27th in the Lord's year of 2020. Hopefully, it'll bring a little bit of redemption to this crappy year. So yeah, that was the big announcement. One of the big announcements from Gamescom earlier today for Warcraft anyway. October 27th is indeed going to be the release date for Shadowlands, which I'm thinking I haven't done any research on normally how long pre-patch content lasts or pre-expansion patch content lasts. So I'm thinking maybe we're a month away, maybe less than the actual pre-patch, pre-expansion material where we actually see the Scourge Invasion Part 2, what we just went through on the PTR a couple of weeks ago, a week or so ago. So yeah, we're right on the doorsteps. Battle for Azeroth is officially coming to a close very, very soon, and we'll be moving into the 9th expansion for World of Warcraft, 8th expansion for World of Warcraft, Shadowlands. So yeah, that was huge. October 27th. I was thinking it was going to be early to mid-November, but hey, they proved me wrong. I have no problems being proven wrong. So that's big news. The other thing we got earlier today was a trailer. This we got it. We got a teaser announcement for these trailers last week. Actually, I don't even think it was last week. I think it was maybe over the weekend. It's going to be 4 trailers, one for each of the new covenants, and they are done in the same style that the Battle for Azeroth Warbringers cinematics were done in, that same animation style. They look really, really good. Warbringers was amazing. The pre-expansion hype and the marketing campaign behind Battle for Azeroth was top notch. It was the best Blizzard had ever done, regardless of what you think for the actual expansion. That material leading into and driving that hype train was the best that Blizzard had ever done. And the Warbringers series fed right into that. Those 3 with Sylvanas and Jaina and Ashara were amazing. Well, this time we get 4 of those, one for each of the covenants. The one for Bastion dropped today, and it was amazing. This is not a reaction video. I've already seen it a couple of times, but I have no problems watching it again. So if you haven't seen it and you want to see it for the first time, I'm not going to stop. We're going to watch it all the way through, and then I'm going to go back in and give you a little bit of juicy tidbits on things that I picked up. I would like to first and foremost give a shout out to buddy, fellow streamer Accolonn, friend from South Africa. I've corresponded with him several times on Twitter and on Twitch. He's a great guy. He does an amazing job at dissecting the Warcraft lore and doing speculation videos, and just an all-around cool dude. So I'm going to give his contact information, his Twitter handle and his YouTube channel, his Twitch handle, in the description for this video below, which I will release once I get done editing it on YouTube. So you'll have information. If you haven't heard of him, please go check him out. He does an amazing job. He does a really good job. But something he said in his, not his most recent video, because I think he just dropped a video a few minutes ago, maybe less than an hour ago, but one he did just a couple of days ago tied into what you're going to be seeing in the Bastion trailer. I mean, it's like he predicted it. He looked into his magic ball, his crystal ball, and boom, he was able to do it. And basically, just to summarize what he was saying, is that the Lich King Arthas, as we know him, may not have been the Lich King this whole time, as we know it. It was not Ner'zhul. The Lich King could have been the Jailer, who is the main protagonist for Shadowlands. He was in control of the Maul. He may have been the Lich King. The Helm of Domination, which Arthas donned, and Frostmourne, which he also wielded, was originally designed and made for the Jailer they were stolen. We don't know exactly if they were allowed to be stolen. I'm not quite sure on that yet. I haven't been able to get into the beta yet. Hey Blizzard, give me a beta invite. But I haven't been able to see, and I haven't really been keeping track of people that have been playing the beta for the story breakdown and any major lore reveals, if there have been any. But I don't think it's been, if we found out yet if the jailer and his lieutenants let the Nathrezim steal the Helm of Domination in Frostmourne and plant them on Azeroth. So there's that. So if the jailer is actually the Lich King and he was in control the entire time, what you see in this trailer for Bastion, which involves Uther and Devos, the Paragon in Bastion, who is charged with training Uther's soul to become an aspirant. What we see here, it feeds right into that. Arthas could be redeemed. Arthas could have been a puppet on strings by the jailer this entire time. Or through the entire time, through Wrath of the Lich King, right after the Third War, all the way up through the events of Wrath of the Lich King and the conclusion to Wrath of the Lich King, which we killed Arthas atop Icecrown Citadel. So anyway, without further ado, let's watch this. It's amazing, and I'm not going to say anything. We're going to watch it again, and then we'll go back and we'll do a little bit more of a deeper dive into what this means. So, all right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Light, save my soul.
Uther.
Where am I?
Welcome to Bastion. You led a truly selfless life, and for that, you have been chosen.
Chosen?
To shed your mortal burdens and join the ranks of the Ascended, serving to ferry the souls of the dead unto the Shadowlands.
I serve the light, and my work is not done. There is an evil that must be...
There is no evil here. The darkness was sealed within the Maw long ago.
You're wrong. He destroyed my home, murdered my people and my king. He must be punished.
You are an aspirant now. You must accept your new purpose and purge yourself of this desire for vengeance.
What I desire is justice.
Devos, why are you training this soul? It is beneath your station as a paragon.
He cannot let go. He continues to demand retribution for his death.
And this concerns you? Many souls take eons to ascend.
Yes, but this one seems broken, Thenios. Unlike any soul I have seen. I have begun to wonder whether he was deemed worthy of Bastion. By mistake.
Be careful, Devos. I would not let the Archon hear such a thought. In time, he will forget. Trust our ways. Trust the path.
Devos, how long must we train?
Until you are ready to ascend.
And what is keeping me from ascension?
Nothing but the memory of your mortal life.
How can I forget when I can still feel his blade?
Your soul is wounded? Who did this to you?
He was my student. He betrayed us all.
Show me. The runes on his blade were unmistakable. This dark agent runs free on a mortal world with the power of the Maw itself in hand. Our realm is imperiled.
Impossible. The Maw is inescapable. You must return to the path.
If he had purged his life, we never would have known of this calamity. The path is flawed.
Enough!
The order of the Shadowlands depends on the execution of our eternal charge. You will abandon this course.
As you command, my Accolonn. Uther! The time of your ascension has come.
I thought I was not ready.
Do you wish to see him punished?
I do.
Then prepare yourself. The moment he falls, we will claim him.
I see. Only darkness before me.
Now, cast him into the maw. Return him to the darkness he served. His eternal suffering awaits.
He was my student.
Remember what he did, and take your vengeance.
Not vengeance. Justice.
Boom. So there it is. There it is. I still got chills watching that, and this is the third or fourth time I've seen it. Fourth time, I think. But, man, just really, really cool details. And I really think once we, at the end of the day, when we're closing in and we're going through Shadowlands and the story's coming to a close and that arc is coming to, we're gonna see maybe not a fully redeemed, but we're going to see, I don't know, maybe so. We're going to see a fully redeemed Arthas Menethil, which I think is amazing. It's very similar to what they did with Illidan back in Legion. I was always a fan of Illidan, and I loved his character, and I loved that arc. It's just, he was an ass sometimes, but he was always focused on one thing. Nothing swayed him from the mission. What is the focus? What is the end goal? Defeat the Legion. Defeat Sargeras. Don't worry about this ancillary crap, the fuzzy feel-good stuff that other people get bogged down in. Nope. Illidan had a goal, and he did it. Freaked everybody else out, but he did it, and he had a plan. And I'm glad Blizzard wrote that in a way to give him that redemption arc. And I really would like to see them do this with Arthas too. So we're going to go back, and as I promised, and we're going to go all the way back because there are so many cool things here. Right out of the gate, you see, so this is from Warcraft 3. This is another viewpoint from Warcraft 3. When Arthas, he's already claimed Frostmourne. He's already become a Death Knight, the Death Knight. He's not the Lich King yet, or what we deem to be the Lich King, but he needs an urn, and he has to go through Uther to get the urn. This urn just happens to have his father's ashes in it. So he fights, and he kills Uther, and that's what we see here. So this... And then we see the close-up. I'm going to skip through here this a little bit. There's a super cool shot.
He destroyed my home. Murdered my...
Whoa, that's a different one. Let me go back here to the... There we go. You see him pulling out Frostmourne, and he's about to run Uther through and kill him. And it takes, the people that design these cinematics do an amazing job. All of these details, they don't just throw them in because they look cool. They always mean something. And we see, again, and we've seen these a million times, right? I've got, you can't see it, but I've got Frostmourne up on my wall. Those same runes are on that blade. We've seen them for over a decade. They're synonymous with Frostmourne and what they mean. Well, actually, we now know kind of what they mean. They're like the calling card for the jailer. Because later on in the cinematic, Devos goes through and sees this because Uther is haunted by this recurring nightmare, that his death over and over, his beloved student, he was like his son. Arthas was a son to him. From the man he worshipped, his king, King Tyrannus. He would have died 1 billion times to save Arthas from this if he'd been given a choice. But he wasn't. And Arthas betrayed them due to the corruption of the Lich King, of Frostmourne. And you see these runes, and later on when we see Devos go through and it's like, what's wrong with this soul? Why is this guy not accepting his fate? He's in heaven, right? And please notice if you're a Diablo fan, go back and watch, if you haven't already, go back and watch those cinematics for the Diablo series. Bastion looks a lot like heaven in Diablo. The same architecture, the angels look the same as the aspirants and the paragons here. I think they pulled heavily from Diablo's Heaven to make Bastion. But, one of the other paragons or aspirants, whatever this guy was, walks up and is like, why are you so fixated on Uther? Why this guy? This is beneath you. This is what, this is my job. We've got millions of other people, other angels to do this. Why him? And she's like, he's not letting it go. This is the first time I've ever seen a soul ascend to heaven and not readily accept the fact that you've gone to heaven. He lived a selfless life. He was a paladin. He was one of the paladins. He was one of the 5 that started the Order of the Silver Hand, right? So even as cruel of a death as he faced, even though it was through betrayal, he goes to heaven, or Warcraft's version of heaven. And he just can't accept that because why? And that's why Devos is so fixated on Uther. Why is this one soul, this extraordinary man in mortal life, he's now ascended to heaven. Why is he not accepting that? He's still bent on retribution. Something's wrong. So the further she delves into this, and she's trying to find out why exactly he's not accepting the training and becoming an aspirant, she sees the wound that Frostmourne made when Arthas stabbed it through Uther's chest. And that's the major red flag. He's the shackles of the mortal coil should not follow you into the afterlife, right? That should have disappeared the minute his soul entered into Bastion. That wound should have been gone. So what the heck? And we go through, and I'll pull it up here real quick. And she's like, okay,
Nothing but the memory.
why
of
won't
your
you let this go? Why are you so bent on vengeance?
How can I forget?
And then she sees the wound.
I can still.
And she says, show me. And she sees what he sees over and over.
Your soul is wounded?
And that, your soul is wounded? How is that even possible? I've never seen this before. There should be no physical reminder of how you died in the mortal plane. You're in heaven. This makes zero sense. Unless you remember way back in Warcraft 3, when you're going through that campaign, and I promise eventually I will finish playing through the campaign on my streams. I've kind of neglected Warcraft 3, but I promise I'll get back to it and we'll finish that campaign and you'll see the end of the game. But I'd already gone through this part. Arthas is in Northrend. Something is summoning him. This legendary blade, Frostmourne. He's gone to find it because he knows that it can help him defeat the Legion, the Burning Legion, and get rid of the Scourge and save Lordaeron. Well, he goes to Northrend and he finds Mirrodin Bronzebeard, who just also happens to be up there. Still not exactly sure how Mirrodin just happened to be there. It's clever writing, but whatever. Still great story. And so Mirrodin helps Arthas find Frostmourne. And they go into the cave, and we see this in World of Warcraft. We get to relive this little scenario as part of a quest when Arthas ceases to become a paladin completely and drops his two-handed hammer, his two-handed mace, one of the signature weapons of a paladin, and he claims Frostmourne. Well, before that happened, Mirrodin sees, because, as fortune and fate would have it, the curse of Frostmourne is, engraved in stone right there beneath the blade. And it's a clear warning for anyone who chooses to heed that warning. What does that curse say? Well, let's go. And let's pull it up and see. This is what it says. Whomsoever takes up this blade shall wield power eternal. Just as the blade rends flesh, so must power scar the spirit. For a long time, it's like, okay, that could mean a bunch of different things, especially as it relates to Frostmourne, and it could be just a generic, this is a cursed blade. You're damaging yourself when you wield this blade because it's going to turn you evil. And essentially that's true, right? However, that last part, just as the blade rends flesh, so must power scar the spirit. That sword is power eternal. It says it. Whomsoever takes up this blade shall wield power eternal. You're wielding power eternal when you hold Frostmourne. Power scars the spirit. If you die by this blade, if you hold this blade, it scars your spirit, it takes your soul. If you're killed by it, it scars your spirit. It wounds your soul. What did Devos say when she touched and she saw the wound? Well, this is what she says.
Your soul is wounded?
Your soul is wounded. That's why Uther can't let this go. His soul is wounded. He can't not forget it because it's part of the scar on his spirit. He was killed by Frostmourne, by betrayal, by evil, by Arthas, his student, his beloved student. There's no way he's going to be able to let this go. So that's why Uther, the ascended to heaven, can't let this go. Frostmourne, the wound that killed him right through his heart. And you can see that the blue energy that we always see emanating from Frostmourne every time it's wielded in battle or just sitting still. It looks exactly, it's like a taint on his spirit. That's why he can't let it go. And Devos sees that and puts two and two together, because when she sees the replay of Uther's memory next, she sees the runes on the blade. She sees what caused this scarring of Uther's spirit. And we'll play that again real quick, because it's right
Who
now.
did this to you?
He was my student. He betrayed us all.
Show me.
Show me. There it is. Love the Arthas theme in that. Sounds so good. Bam! And she sees the runes. It's like a calling card for the jailer.
Runes on
It's like the mark of the maw. It's the mark of the jailer. That sword, she knows immediately who made that sword or who that sword was made for. And she goes immediately to the Accolonn, the leader of Bastion, and is like, we've got a problem. The jailer, who we thought was locked away in the mall, has an agent, an evil, super powerful agent running around on the mortal realm, disrupting everything that should not be disrupted. I mean, it impacts everything. And she gets shot down. It's like, no, this is our way. You're crazy. This is, the rules of the Shadowlands cannot be broken. The system is fine. Everything is fine. Move along. Do your job. Don't worry about it. Move along. Just more stupidity and stubbornness and failure to see, what's so visible. And personally, I wish, she should have just brought Uther. It's like, here, you touch the wound, right? You see what I saw. You see what he sees every moment of every day. And now we know why he can't ascend and become an aspirant of Bastion, because he's been tainted by the jailer. So the move, the opening move, or one of the opening moves by the jailer to overtake and claim all of Shadowlands, that card has been thrown on the table. And no one, except for Devos so far, and Sylvanas knows too. But only Devos and Bastion knows, and she's being ignored and told to move along and shut your face. So she says, yes, ma'am, and she turns around, she walks away, but you see it in her eyes immediately.
his blade were unmistakable.
And that look on her face, I love it.
Runs free on a mortal
The path is flawed. We're doing something wrong. And I love that look. That looks awesome. Because if you remember back, and this is a recurring theme through the Warbringers and now the Afterlife series, we saw that look on Jaina's face, we saw that look on Sylvanas' face, we saw that look on Ashara's face. And now Devos has that same look. I mean, you could almost take the eyes and put them on all three of the other faces, and you've got that same look. It's about to go down. It's about to go down. So she hatches a plan immediately, and basically what she's going to do here is she's going to go to Uther. She's going to raise him as to an aspirant because she needs him. He's now a tool to help her stop whatever the jailer is planning. And right now, I don't even think she knows what the end game is. But she knows something is wrong. Terribly, terribly wrong. So what they do is she goes and she tells Uther, it's like, the minute he falls, we're going to grab his soul and we're going to chunk him in the maw. Which I'm not sure what that means yet. Because, so what we've seen here in this Bastion trailer is sometime after the moment in Warcraft 3 when Uther dies. And now we're about to see up to the point where we fight Arthas atop Icecrown Citadel and we kill him, practically ending the Wrath of the Lich King expansion. So that was 4 years, 7, maybe 8 years, 9 years. I'll have to do the math. Vanilla WoW was 4 years after the end of Warcraft 3. So, and then the end of Wrath of the Lich King was probably 3 or 4 years after Vanilla. So we're maybe looking at 7, 8 years. We also have a weird theory that time in Shadowlands is really not how time flows on Azeroth. So For us, this is about 7 to 8 years. For them, it could have been 1,000 years. Who knows? Or it could have been 10 minutes. Who knows? But she claims, she says, when he falls, when this guy that did that to you falls, we're going to claim his soul, and you're going to get your retribution. Which, again, is a little confusing now that I'm thinking about it, because if she sees the runes on Frostmourne and she knows that that's the jailer, or that's the calling card of the Maw, why would she give the Maw and the jailer his lieutenant back? You know? Why would she do that? Not sure. That's a good question. Also, what about King Tyrannus? That sword went through his chest just like it did Uther. Where is his soul at? Is his soul tainted? We saw Uther's soul escape from Frostmourne momentarily and give us guidance and advice in Icecrown Citadel and in the dungeons of Icecrown, as we go through and lead in and go through the prep to get ready to go in and face Arthas in ICC. We see King Tyrannus in several of the cinematics, not in game, but we see him in cinematics. It's his narration. He goes to Arthas. He's what Arthas sees or hears after you defeat him. And when we're getting ready to storm Icecrown Citadel, it's Tyrannus that Arthas is talking to and chooses to talk to Arthas. It's not Uther. It is not Uther. So, and I'm just sitting here thinking, okay, we saw a portion. Maybe it was just an echo of Uther's spirit, or an echo of every spirit or soul in Frostmourne. It's not the complete soul, because you saw here, it seemed that Uther woke up the minute he died. He woke up still clutching his chest. It's like, where am I? You're in Bastion. Well, that kind of seemed like it was immediately after he died, right? But we see him with seemingly full consciousness talk to us and guide us through Icecrown, even though that was years after he was killed. So there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions, and surely we're going to get answers and we're going to get clarification. But this was very telling. This was very, very, very telling. And I thought when they started announcing covenants and they started going through, what each covenant was about, I kind of thought Bastion was going to be like the weakest one story-wise. Like, that's a little too cookie cutter, vanilla. And now I'm not so sure. Not so sure. This the story emanating from Bastion looks really good, especially if we get to go through and help Uther and help Devos and possibly help redeem Arthas Menethil. That would be amazing. There's one other thing, and this again goes back real quick to what Accolonn was saying in one of his videos from a couple of days ago. And this is, let me pull it up real quick. But again, this is from the old Warcraft RPG. This is not canon, but this ties. This is about the curse of Frostmourne, right? So again, old Warcraft RPG. It's not canon, or specifically says it's not to be considered canon. But the last half of this is kind of silly. But the first half, they might be able to use that. They might be able to use it. I'll just read it from you. And this is from Gamepedia, the WoW section from Gamepedia. So here's what it says. Frostmourne has the ability to drain life from its victims. Duh. And to drain the soul of anyone whom it connects to. Okay, we also knew that. The longer Arthas held the sword, the more of his soul he lost to the sword, to the jailer. The Lich King, Arthas was not the Lich King yet, and I agree with Accolonn, Ner'zhul was not the Lich King either. The Lich King is capable of seeing through the eyes and hearing through the ears of anyone who wields Frostmourne. Now, I could be wrong, but I'll have to go back and check this. Arthas was getting instruction and guidance from Kel'Thuzad. before he actually claimed Frostmourne, and then also afterwards. He could have been all of those things leading him to Frostmourne. It could have been Ner'zhul doing a lot of that. It also could have been the Jailer. The Lich King is capable of seeing through the eyes and hearing through the ears of anyone who wields Frostmourne. This ability cannot be stopped by any mortal means. The Lich King can communicate with the wielder at will telepathically on any plane at any distance. The Lich King uses this ability to try and corrupt the wielder over time. I don't think Ner'zhul was doing that. Remember, Ner'zhul was still fresh to this. I mean, it's not like he'd spent an eon mastering control of what he was given, the hand he was dealt by Kil'jaeden, right? So he was tortured. He was caught in the twisting nether. His body was stripped away because they didn't want him to wield Frostmourne and the armor and the Helm of Domination. But, he was still kind of new to this. He was still powerful, sure. But I don't think he was the Lich King. I don't know if Arthas was technically the Lich King either. So anyway, as I was saying, the Lich King can communicate with the wielder at will telepathically on any plane and at any distance. The Lich King uses this ability to try and corrupt the wielder over time. This has several effects. An individual who wields Frostmourne will not part with it willingly. Over time, the person will go from good to neutral and finally to evil. Obviously, we saw that play out with Arthas. A non-undead evil wielder will then become undead. Arthas became the first of the Death Knights version 2. So, yeah, there's that. And that kind of feeds into, that maybe the Jailer was pulling the strings of both Ner'zhul, Kel'Thuzad, and Arthas at the same time over great distances. And again, Bolvar, you hear it in the pre-patch stuff for atop Icecrown Citadel before we actually go into the mall and kick off Shadowlands. Bolvar says it there too. Even after the helm was shattered by Sylvanas, and especially when he still had it, he could still feel that a powerful, just right there on the edge of his consciousness at all times. And it wasn't Arthas and it wasn't Ner'zhul. So, Jailer, right? Got to be the Jailer. I think the Jailer was the Lich King the whole time. And I think Arthas was just the willing, not willing. Well, yeah, he was willing. I mean, he went up there and claimed it on his own in an act of defense of Lordaeron and his people. But he was a willing puppet, and I think we're going to find out in this expansion that the Jailer was behind everything to do with Arthas and the Lich King and the fall, and certainly Sylvanas. We already know that's where she got her power, or has gotten her power since right before Battle for Azeroth. That's borrowed power, and that's coming from the Jailer. We know that now. Yeah. So it's good stuff, kids. It's good stuff. I can't wait. I'm probably going to go ahead and pre-purchase. I should have done it. I just haven't. Now we know that it's October 27th. October 27th is release date for Shadowlands. Yeah, I can't wait. This is looking good. Looking really, really good. We could get a lot of storylines that we thought were resolved. They're not really resolved at all. They're just really getting started, and we're going to get some juicy details and some fresh avenues to keep this story going and churning and ever evolving, right? So it's going to be great. It's going to be great. Hope you guys enjoyed that. That was a fantastic cinematic. I can't wait to see what they have in store for the other three Covenant trailers. Don't know when they're going to be released. Who knows? Maybe they'll do one a week, and then that'll lead, after when they're done showing the fourth one, that'll lead right into the launch of the pre-expansion stuff, when we go and get to kill the Scourge again and go find out what Bolvar's been up to since Sylvanas owned him in the Shadowlands expansion trailer. So yeah, it's going to be good. Yeah, go back and watch it again and pick those things up. I think we're looking at a whole new meaning of what Lich King actually means. And again, when I get done editing this and drop it on YouTube, I'll put Accolonn's Twitter and Twitch and YouTube channels in my description, because again, if you're not following him and watching him and you care about the lore of Warcraft, that dude, he does a great job. He's got some awesome ideas, and he's always willing to listen. You know, he doesn't claim to be perfect and know it all. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. He's a lot of fun. So definitely check him out. And I'm going to end it there. I got some editing to do. And again, look at that face. That's hopefully she remains our friend, because you do not want her as your enemy in this expansion coming up. So anyway, you guys take care. Hope you enjoyed my little TED talk here on this first trailer, the Bastion trailer. Obviously, when the other three drop, I'm going to be doing the same thing with those three. Yeah, enjoy. Everyone have a good night. Stay safe. Love you all. Happy, good time, and I'll see you in game. Please like and follow me and subscribe on YouTube. I'll drop this on YouTube a little bit later on, and I'll link it on Twitter, and I'll have a shortcut cut of it up on the Twitch channel as well. So appreciate your support, appreciate your likes and your subscriptions and your support. The more you do that, the more I love doing this stuff. So anyway, have a good night. I'll see you in game for the Alliance. Take care.